Hi, I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio, and welcome to the Mayor's Roundtable. Intelligent conversation around a semi-round table. It's bringing you, the citizens of Berkeley Heights, current, timely information from the source. From your mayor, Robert Woodruff. Mayor?
Doc, how are you?
Great. Thanks. We're going to have a great show tonight.
Another good one?
I think so, and in going with our tradition of going about what's happening in town first, but also bringing cutting-edge new things to the people, we have some interesting stuff with our guests in that regard, don't we?
We do, Doc. In keeping with our format, we bring various elected officials on and/or department heads. Tonight we have our new Chief of Police, John D. Pasquale, who was just sworn in last Tuesday night, together with Lieutenant Amerlin, right here in the chamber, and that was a great night. And so we're here today, and John's going to tell us a little bit about the police department and its interaction with the public, and it's it's a good thing, and I think there'll be information which most of the public probably doesn't have.
Well, that's the whole point of doing this. Exactly. To give you the information you need and to make sure you remember as well. So on that note, let's back up a little bit. We were talking last month about how the planning process and the planner was going to be coming up to the Township Committee about the redevelopment. And what's going on now? When's the vote going to be happening with the Township Committee relative to the A, B, and C plans that we talked about last month?
Okay, Doc. Next week, next Tuesday, our planner, Mike Mistretta, will appear before the council and give his recommendation with respect to any of the A, B, or C plans. As I mentioned last time, we've kind of come up with a hybrid C plan, which we think fits all of our requirements and needs, but most particularly, I think, really address the concerns of the citizens that lived in the immediate area.
Okay.
And I think they had some input on that. So it would appear that our planner will show up on Tuesday night and make a recommendation with respect to Plan C, at which point in time then the council will vote.
Okay.
And Mr. Mistretta, who is the town planner, will also, at that point in time, present what we best call let's say a checklist as to what our requirements for redevelopment are. So it will be spelled out to some level of specificity as to what needs to be done next and so on and so forth in a timely fashion. There are certain things that have to be considered more specifically, if we would. We'll narrow down on the library itself and on the police department, on the administration, and so on and so forth within the structure. And then, obviously, then there is the building phase, and obviously, then we're going.
Sure.
So, and as we know, the planning board did okay it.
I was going to say the planning board okayed it, so now it's coming up to the Township Committee.
Right.
Now, if people want to get a better idea of where things are going to be, because this involves a couple of different properties in town, are there any visuals? Are there any models? Are there things that people can get a better look at rather than just hear us talk about?
Well, yes, Doc, we have something right here with us, which I think you'll be capable of taking some shots of, and that is the plan itself.
Put it up right now.
Put it up, and that'll give you some idea of where it's going to be. If the individuals in town can take a look at where we sit now, the building will be behind us. As I said the last meeting, this building will remain in operation while the other building is being constructed.
Nice.
So that saves us a substantial amount of money in relocation costs and
Trailers,
so on and so forth.
et cetera.
Trailers and all of those kinds of things. Well, the police department's been in a trailer for the last 20 years in detective bureau, so they're used to that. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're going there. Any member of the public can come down, and still, you know, we've done a lot of presentations to the township residents. All of that is available if anyone wants to come down with respect to the specifics of how we've gone through this. It's available to them.
So, you know, if we were to cut to the chase a little bit, the picture we just showed everybody was Plan C.
Correct.
Rumor on the street has it that's the one the planner presented to the zoning board, and that's the one that's coming up for a vote. And the Township Committee right now is favoring to move ahead, although you haven't voted yet. That's the word on the street, man.
Well, yeah, let me just clear that, Doc, when the planner went before the planning board to get the approval with respect, that was simply as to redevelopment on the certain properties. That wasn't specific as to this structure. That had to do with the overall concept of redevelopment. But Plan C, as I said, I think meets all of our needs, and most particularly on an equal level, obviously, it took care of a lot of concerns of the citizens who live immediate to the area.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. We're really looking forward to getting the ball rolling on this, and hopefully get shovel in the ground with that gold shovel in our ground with our construction helmets on.
Absolutely.
Now, it's going to cost some money to do this. How are we going to facilitate getting this paid for, and how is that going to impact our residents?
It's going to be bonded, obviously. There are numbers that are being, and they're not hard and fast numbers yet. They were extremely conservative insofar as they erred. If they erred at all, they erred on the high side.
Right.
Okay, because we thought that was the appropriate way to do it. There remains, obviously, when we start to narrow down the plans themselves, you could have cost savings, because you have taken certain views of things and they may change. And in addition, the most significant component of cost saving in this matter is the Hamilton property and the development of the Hamilton property, which the town takes ownership of, in the redevelopment exchange with Little Flower. And the issue there is what kind of dollars will that generate? So obviously, the more it generates, the less we have to bond for. In any event, money is extremely cheap right now, as everybody knows, and we're in a situation really where, and our CFO, in fact, they went out and the bonding, we came even lower than we thought we were going to have to go. So we're pretty good there, and. The concern we have there, obviously, with that project up there is to get as much as we can from that end.
Sure.
And that
offset costs.
Offset costs. Yeah.
So I know the communications committee is been working on updating the website, but we're going to do some changes to the website right away that impact our citizens. Correct?
Yes, we think so. We think this can be a great assistance to our citizens. The county is coming out next week. Going to meet with John Basiclo, our township business administrator. With the idea that we may be able to procure an app or apps which we can integrate with our website and may be able to satisfy many of the citizens' requests, needs, and so on and so forth, to getting information out.
So like a hotline type of thing through the website, or email notices, or Twitter or Facebook, things like that.
Correct. Now, and we're pretty excited about that. And again, we appreciate the county that may partner with us on this, and we'll know a little bit more next week.
I know some communities can pay their taxes online. Is that coming down the pike for us too? Because that would be great.
It's coming down the line, Doc, on November 1st.
Wow, great.
So
excellent.
Our CFO,
Can
Mike
I use
Marceau,
my MasterCard, get my bonus points?
I would think you could.
Cool.
All right, I'll check with our CFO, but Mike Marceau passed that information on, so beginning November 1st, all taxes can be paid online.
Wow, that's great. Yep. That's excellent. So now we're going to have some other properties that are going to get developed in town. What's going on with the other developers that the township committee's been talking to?
Well, without getting too specific as to their names and et cetera, and their entities, let me just say that our township administrator, Mr. Basiclo, our attorney, Joe Sordillo, and our planner, Mike Mistretta, have a meeting set up in the very near future with 2 or 3 developers in the area. Now, this is extremely important because in the affordable housing situation, the courts don't simply want a plan submitted. They want to know that you are making good faith efforts to deal with individuals that can address the affordable housing issue. So we are really adhering to what the courts want us to do. And at the same time, I have a standing rule that no elected official will meet with any of these developers. That will be done by the 3 people that I mentioned, and if they think that there's something legitimate, they'll come back to us.
And they're going to have to go through all the same planning processes
Planning board,
as everybody else.
Everything's the same. We may think it's nice, the planning board may say no. And if that's the case, they're an independent, autonomous group, and that's the decision they make.
I like that idea that they're not going to go right to the township committee, or they cannot discuss with it. I think that's really great, really a lot of transparency, which is what this show is about, trying to bring as much transparency as possible. A lot going on. Hey, the good news is everybody can pay their taxes online, so we can keep moving forward and get those bonus points on their credit cards. I like that. I like that. We're going to take a short break.
Good.
And then when we come back, we got a lot of good information from our new police chief. So Chief DePasquale will be with us shortly. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio with Mayor Robert Woodruff. We'll be right back. Well, if it's Halloween, it must be trunk or treat. That's right, it's trunk or treat at the Berkeley Heights Police Department. Chief DePasquale, tell us about it. What is trunk or treat?
It's basically something we started several years ago, the PBA, along with the police department, which is providing the trick-or-treat experience within our police department parking lot. Basically, people that are welcome to come, bring their vehicles, they park their cars, they open up their trunks, they decorate them, have their candy ready, and once everything is set up, the kids go around and go from trunk to trunk and trick or treat, or trunk or treat.
So does it have to be classic cars? Does it need to be hot rods, or is it just any old car?
No special car. All we require is you open your trunk, you decorate it, and you have some candy.
That sounds great. So this year, when is trunk or treat?
It's October 24th. It starts at 12, but we're asking for people to come and stage their cars at 11:30 and decorate so they're prepared for 12 o'clock for the trunk or treating to begin.
Well, there you go. Be there October 24th at Berkeley Heights Police Department. Trunk or treat. Bring your car at 11:30, but more importantly, bring your kids at noon. Look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Welcome back to the Mayor's Roundtable. It's segment 2 with our guest, Chief DePasquale. Chief, congratulations and Godspeed. It's only been a week now that you've been a chief. What's changed?
Not much. I've been in the acting position 14 months prior to. So as far as job description goes, nothing really has changed. Just
So-
permanent designation.
We like that, but your vision now for the police department as it relates to the citizens and the community, how do you want to get information out about what's happening to the citizens? What's your vision?
Really, to get the information, I will use whatever we need to, whatever means necessary. As we all know, today's day and age, people are looking for information right away. And there's no, in our business, especially when it comes to emergency situations or when it comes to traffic issues, people want timely, up-to-date information. So we have a few different methods to do that. One of the things we do is we have a Facebook page, and that's an effective way to get a lot of information out there. That's more of non-emergency type information we like to put out there. Any criminal activity going on, police blotter type stuff, arrests made, that'll be in there. Anything in the way of
Road closures would be there, or
we would
a
put,
water main break?
if there's a water main break or a road closure, anything that affects traffic that might be an inconvenience or people would want to know about, but
Change the light on Springfield Avenue.
but it's not necessarily an emergency. That's what we would put on Facebook.
Okay. All right. All right. Mayor, have you checked out the Facebook page yet for the police department?
I'm aware of it. I have seen it.
Well, let's like it.
I do like it.
Okay, like and share. It's called like and share, Mayor. Step up to the plate now.
I do
Step
like
up
it,
to the plate.
and I think it provides a great service to our township. So many people see the police and they just see police cars driving around town and they think, okay, that's what they do, and they pull people over and they do other things. And there's a lot of contact that John and his department have with the people in town to build, a connection, whether it be with young kids or be with senior citizens. And I know John's got some information on that.
That's great. Well, but before we go into that program, because I know, not to jump the gun, Mayor, but what about emergency stuff?
Well,
what
first,
if there's an emergency thing going on? How are we going to get that information out?
First, with the Facebook, I just want to clarify, it's Berkeley Heights Police. So if you're looking for us to like us, it's Berkeley Heights Police.
So on Facebook,
just Berkeley
type
Heights.
in Berkeley Heights Police,
Yes.
and that's it. All right, so everybody can seriously like it and share it as well, but like it. That's number one.
Right.
Then number two, what about emergency notices?
So for emergency situations, we have what's called our Code Red system.
All right.
That is truly designated for emergencies. Anything that would affect the public safety, we would put information on there. In the last couple of years, well, we've been okay for the last couple of years, but prior to that, a lot of the storm effects, the downed wires, things like that, we kept updating that and utilizing the emergency network system, which is Code Red. So that's where we put all of our emergency
So
information.
how do people sign up for that?
There's two ways. The one good thing is as long as everyone in the 911 system will get notice in Berkeley Heights of anything that we put out.
Okay.
All right, so it pulls from the 911 database. But on top of that, if you go to our website, bhpolice.org,
All right.
and you go to the bottom, there's a banner for Code Red. You can sign up, and you'll get text messaging. You can sign up for email information. So all of the same information that's going out to the landlines will also be going out through those devices.
So you can sign up how you want to get it, which electronic method you
Exactly.
prefer.
Because the reality is, some folks don't even have landlines anymore or not even using them, so they may not get the notification that way. And people traveling back to town, if they're at work when an emergency occurs, they can get up-to-date, timely information
Excellent.
before, so they
Excellent.
can stay.
So there's two good ways to keep in touch with the community, non-emergent, emergent.
Yes,
Oh,
and
that's
again,
great.
that's bhpolice.org.
Excellent, excellent. So let's segue into Mayor's question. you have a program for the seniors as well, which I think is really, really novel and really unique in my mind. Tell us a little bit about
Well,
that.
interesting enough, it was sort of an offshoot of our youth police academy.
Okay.
What's
that then?
4 years ago, we started what's called the Youth Police Academy, or our Youth Academy, and we've been doing it, like I said, for 4 years, and we've averaged over 100 participants. We call them cadets. We're about at 500 or so.
Nice. And what age range are these?
Well, we started out with 5th through high school, and after the first couple of years, we realized, you know, we would be at graduations or at these events, and siblings would come up, and they'd have mom would have a 3rd grader, and she's like, oh, she wants to start, or she'd love to do it. So we decided to extend it back down to the 2nd graders.
Wow.
So we literally go from 2nd grade all the way through high school, and it's a great way to interact with the kids. And we have more officers are able to produce or to participate in that, I should say, and are able to interact with the kids. So the kids get familiar, kids in our neighborhoods and in our community get familiar with police officers, and officers also get familiar with the kids. The kids also get to see what we do in law enforcement. And we're lucky because we have we're able to bring a lot of resources in. We literally have everyone from our local PDs doing presentations all the way up through federal agencies like the FBI, the DEA, state police help us in a couple different areas every year. So it's really a great event. So with the success of that, we're always looking for ways to reach out to all the stakeholders in our community. And one of the things that we wanted to make an effort to do was to reach out to our senior citizens. And that's when we started the Senior Academy, which...
So how does that work then? I mean, the kids, it sounds it's a lot easier to kind of structure around events.
With the kids, we actually have them come in and they spend, good 6 hours there, and they're doing military drill, and they get to see police demonstrations.
I'm not doing 20 push-ups tomorrow.
The SWAT team demonstration, helicopters landing. So that's more of actually being a recruit type. For the seniors, it's sort of a misnomer, but what we did it for was to basically find a way to interact with them and to have them to come here actually in this room.
All right.
We have it every once a month, at last Monday of every month at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
We basically get coffee, some food, so we can.
That always brings people out.
And what we do is we put on a presentation on something that's pertinent to them, that information that's valuable to them. And then after we put out the information, then we'll have just sort of like a social afterwards where they can interact with us, ask questions either on the topic of the day or anything at all.
Well, what kind of, just a smattering of topics, what kind of things are important for seniors to be aware about?
Well, for everyone, but certainly for senior citizens, is the fraud prevention. Everybody's susceptible to that, whether it's a scam over the phone, a scam over the internet. So what we do, we bring them in, and we actually brought somewhat of an expert in to talk about some of the things that seniors face and the different types of frauds that are presented to them. We also did a presentation in-house. One of our dispatchers put a presentation on the 911 system and how to navigate it. Some of us grew up on it, not necessarily everyone, that grew up on that and is familiar with it. So we put that out, what the uses are, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I was mentioning earlier to the mayor that my brother's father-in-law got scammed for over $20,000 on just people calling him up and telling him he won money and transfer a deposit and we'll transfer your money. So this is a huge problem, isn't it?
Yeah, and an ounce of prevention. Something like that. If we can just inform one person, one senior to go out there and avoid it. There's a lot of money at stake, and it's also for our benefit. These are incidents and cases that we don't have to investigate if we can prevent them. So.
Exactly.
Doc, it's interesting that because one of the things that maybe you can further advance with the seniors, as John has told me, the seniors sometimes are embarrassed when it happens and they don't tell their kids, okay, or they don't tell. Now, at some point in time, all of us who have older parents have to take some responsibility maybe and say, look, let me see that account. Let me see your checking account, your savings account, and maybe where's this $5,000? Where's this $10,000? I mean, we don't think to do that because we've all, been brought up by our parents. You're not thinking about that. But as John said, a lot of these elderly people are very embarrassed and they don't want to report this. And the next thing you know, it's $15,000, $20,000, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And it may not necessarily be a big number. Maybe small. Several smaller numbers.
That was my brother-in-law's.
Like
it was just a little experience like that. Now, what about security for the individuals, the homeowner? how can, I mean, you guys police the town, but how can the homeowner get more information about, personal security? I mean, you can have an alarm system, but there's got to be more than that.
Sure, there's much more than that, and that helps. An alarm system is helpful, but what we do is we provide also home security surveys where an officer trained in that area can go out by appointment and basically do a survey of the home.
So
and
on-site inspection?
Do an on-site inspection.
Wow.
And give the homeowner some advice on, things that they could do to sort of harden their facility, or their residence, I should say.
So if somebody's interested in that, they just call headquarters?
Call headquarters, you call the main line, which is 908-464-1111, and ask for Lieutenant Deach, Robert Deach, and he will take care of it. He'll assign one of the officers that are trained in that area, and they'll set up an appointment.
This goes for businesses too, John?
Businesses too, yes.
Oh, wow. So you can do the same thing, get a security analysis for the business. That'd be nice.
And like I said earlier, a lot of the people in town don't understand the services. The police are more than just getting in a car and driving around town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's great thing about our force is that they're committed to the town. All right. Many of them live in the town. Okay. And many of them are see their role as being someone a citizen of the town. And I think that's great for the people.
Excellent. No, we appreciate that. So while we're talking about contact information, how can the citizens get in touch with you if somebody wants to get in touch with you?
They could call the main line, and they'll be put through to my voicemail, or if I'm in the office, I can.
Come on down.
I'll come on down. Also, obviously, email, which is jdepasquale@bhpolice.org.
Excellent, excellent, good. So it's nice to know you're accessible.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
great, Chief. We appreciate that. Now, it's not always about preventing, crime and keeping it tight reins in the community. The police department's also involved with a lot of initiatives to the community to have fun as well. I mean, you're involved with like PAL, I know, for example, or tell us a little bit about that, or some of the other, initiatives to give back to the community that the police department's involved with.
Right, with the police department along with the PBA, we kind of, both work together.
That makes sense.
In reaching out to the kids in the community. The PAL is something the police department's always been involved in. I was a product. I played these PAL sports, and I remember the police officers that were my coaches. We currently have 2 officers, myself included, on the executive board of the PAL, and several of the other officers are doing coaching and things like that. So again, we try to get as many people, and it's really volunteering. These are it's not me telling them to do. These are officers wanting to participate, like the mayor said, in the community. So that's one of the things we do, is obviously stay involved in the PAL, and that's really throughout the year. We also, the PBA does the fishing derby, which is hugely successful, and that, again, I remember that as a kid, looking forward to that. So, and then an event coming up, and you mentioned, is the trunk or treat.
There you go.
Which is October 24th.
All right.
And it starts at 12, show up at 11:30.
Right here?
Everyone shows up, we'll have the cars, we'll sort of tell you where to go, where to park, and then you can set up your trunk with the decorations and whatnot, and be prepared for the trick-or-treating.
That's really cool, and that's going to be right here at,
It's going to be right in the front police lot.
Police lot, right here.
Depending
Excellent.
on the amount of people, we'll see how far we have to wrap around.
We'll take out the
Hopefully
whole,
we can get all
whole
the way around the
area.
facility.
So now we're got a few more things I want to talk about, because before we close up the show. One is you're going to have hopefully a new police department with the redevelopment coming in. Your wish list. What do you want to see happen?
Well, the first thing is I'd like to see all of our offices and officers under one roof.
That would be nice.
That would be, as the mayor had mentioned earlier, we have a trailer that really is probably close to 50% of our office space.
Wow.
Is disconnected from the rest of the police department, and that houses our support services, which is a lieutenant and detectives and other ancillary guys. So we're looking forward to
Bring
getting
that all in
and it's
there.
also going to be nice to also, since we're starting from scratch, we'll be able to be involved in some of the layout, working with the professionals and laying out. So we'll be able to ensure that the flow of the department in the police business, it's very important that you have, the flow, because
more efficient.
you have situations where you need to, especially with prisoners and things like that,
Segregate.
you sort of segregate and have security measures where currently we take all those security measures and we take pride in making sure that's okay. But the problem is the rest of our office space is not quite as functional
Sure.
because we sort of have to avoid,
Sure, you don't have
our
the space,
non-sworn
yeah.
personnel have to avoid certain areas. So it's not the best situation currently.
Well, Chief DePasquale, it's going to be a great tenure. We're looking forward to you carrying on the tradition of wonderful police chiefs in town, and your family's a long-rooted family in town, which I think will make a nice difference, because it's not just a job, it's your home.
That's
and
right.
I think that's going to be great, and that comes across. So I know the community is going to be looking forward to that. Mayor, another great show. You have 5 seconds for closing comments. Anything you want to share before we sign off?
Well, I just, as I always do, encourage everybody to come to the meetings on Tuesday. That's where decisions are made. That's where many individuals come forward and give us their thoughts. And I think there's no better example of that than the fact that we're going to introduce a development project that is the result of a lot of input from the people in this town. And I think that, as they say, the proof is in the pudding.
Well, there we go.
And I'm proud of that. So I continue to encourage everybody to do that.
And I want to continue to encourage everybody to tune in for the Mayor's Roundtable. Please come down and participate in the filming, 6:45. The third Thursday of every month, the Mayor's Roundtable is filmed live at City Hall. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next show.